Ever feel like you've read all the books, but nothing's really changing? That used to be me until I figured out what was really keeping me stuck. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to rewire your beliefs and finally become the 10.0 version of you that can make it all happen. Let's get it. The only reason that you are not already where you want to be is because of this. There is the version of you that is here now, and then there is the 10.0 version of you. Okay. And the only reason that you're not already here is because you are missing three things. One of three things, maybe all of three things. But the gap that is here is kind of like a ladder. And these three things are your character traits, your beliefs, and your skills. And the reason that this is like a ladder is because you always have to be building all three. There's a lot of people who keep building the skill sets, right? And it would be like having a ladder that only has the stairs. In order to actually move up the ladder, you'd have to continue to expand the beliefs, and you'd continue to expand the character trait, the character, the version of you, the self. You need all three, and you need to grow all three. Okay? And that's it. Once you acquire the beliefs, the skills, and the traits, you become that version of you who can create whatever it is that you want to get to that level. Okay? And so in today's exercise, we're going to break this down into kind of like three parts. The first is we're going to get really honest with ourselves. Okay? Because if you want to know what it is you believe, here's the trick. You just look around at your life. Okay? And we're going to get really honest. We're going to do a little bit of an inventory. Okay? And then the second part of this is we're going to eliminate. Okay? We're going to get rid of the weeds. We're going to get rid of the pieces that no longer serve us. And then number three is we're going to rewire and ingrain some new beliefs. Okay? So we're going to get really honest. We're going to eliminate, and then we are going to rewire and install some new beliefs, some new hardware. Okay? And we're going to do that through a few exercises. So let me switch this around here, and I'll guide you through this. Again, none of these ideas are mine, so I have full permission to brag about all of them. There is a mix of Tony Robbins, Bob Proctor, Rich Litvin, Byron Katie, all condensed into one simple worksheet, okay? And so when it comes to Tony Robbins, I thought this is very potent for like how to actually cause transformation, how to become that 10.0 version of yourselves. There is three ways that I know of. Maybe there's more, but these are the three that I have used and have served me well. Number one is modeling. Very easy. Find somebody who is a little bit further ahead than you in a particular area of life that you want to master, that you want to become the 10.0 version of, and model them. Get close to them. Okay? And this can be done, like you can watch people from afar, and then there's total immersion. Okay, so total immersion, an example of this for me was I found somebody who was way wealthier than I was when I was in finance, and he invited me into his culture, into his company, but really it was a whole culture. And nothing transformed my scarcity mindset more than that. That is where I learned the difference between trying to get and trying to give. And that happened over 4 years by being immersed in a culture that was in alignment with the way that I wanted to live. And then spaced repetition, this was Bob Proctor, and it was the spaced repetition of your goals, like, you know, having that idea of what it is you were going after. I can't tell you how many times I repeated to myself, I am so happy and grateful now that I have 10,000, or now that I earn $10,000 easily and effortlessly from multiple streams of income in increasing quantities. I said that every day over and over again, getting that into my subconscious mind where eventually that just became totally normal. Okay. And so one other thing that I think is really cool as a way of thinking is recognizing that everything arises in language. Okay. And the mind thinks in pictures, but everything really arises in language. And the language that we use is so incredibly important. We have to be mindful of the language because the language is giving us clues about how we see the world. And the way that we see the world is an insight into the paradigm that we are walking around with. And then that paradigm is influencing all of the actions that we take and ultimately the results that we get. And so if when we change a belief or we change the language, we change the things that we are saying, it changes everything. That's why just being in proximity to people who are further ahead than you, you pick up on their language patterns and it changes everything. Okay? This is why masterminds are so powerful. Now, like I said, we're going to break this down into 3 different steps, 3 different kind of exercises. The first one is called the perfect system. Now, I've written all these out, but basically this is kind of fun to do, like have some fun with this. And this is an example where you take an area of your life where you're experiencing resistance or you're not achieving the results that you want. And then imagine you had to design a program to get that exact result. So here's the example that I used. Okay. So this was when I was stuck in the income roller coaster phase of building the business. Okay. And so I wrote out the perfect system for a constant roller coaster ride of income. And then it was like, what do you need to do in order to achieve that result? Well, don't do any prospecting, only do launches once or twice a year. Don't ask for referrals. Don't offer continuation coaching. Don't pay taxes. Don't figure out your numbers every month. Don't hire anyone to help you. Only solve small problems, right? It's like, this is the perfect system if you always want to have a roller coaster ride of income. And it just kind of puts like a really interesting flip. You don't even need to do anything with this. Just becoming aware of these things, like you'll naturally change. The impetus will be like, oh, I'm going to do the opposite of all these things. I promise you, just the awareness of this is enough. Okay, so you're going to create your own perfect system here. My own perfect system for never getting out of debt, for always being overweight, whatever it is. Do this, don't do this, don't do this. Definitely don't do this. And just make your list right here, or you can draw it out like I did over here. But this is just to help you identify like what is so right now in your life, okay? The way we've got to figure out like what is it that we believe, it's like what's the level of our beliefs? Just look around at your life right now. And this will help with that. Okay, part 2 of this exercise is really using Byron Katie's process, the work, okay? And this is where you're going to, you can read through these, but the process is write down all the things that you've repeatedly tried to do or accomplish in your life where you've come up short. Okay. And then for each one, see if you can list a reason why. And so you can just write in this document right here. Step number 2 is get still and listen. Write down any negative thinking that you notice or have noticed in your life that you really believe to be true. Maybe it's money is the root of all evil. If I become wealthy, I will not have time for my family. My parents are blank. I am stupid. Anything like that. Just whatever is there, just create some space. You can even ask yourself, like have a conversation with yourself, and just see what comes up. See if you can identify what are those negative thoughts, words, limiting beliefs. Okay, then write out any thoughts that you know aren't fully true, but sometimes pop up. Like, I have no money when you have a full-time job, or you actually do have money, but why do you still think that, right? Or I'm not smart enough, or I'm stupid when you have a education or a unique skill set or something like that, right? What are those for you? And then just write those out. Step number 4 is perhaps some of these are in your mind, okay? This is just some prompts to, are any of these in there? And then step number 5, you're going to go through all of these and we're just going to pick out the top 5 negative thoughts or beliefs, and we're going to work with those. If we can identify and remove 5, that's going to be transformational. Okay, so go through this whole list and pick the top 5 and write them down here. Okay. And then out of those 5, let's see if we can find like the root or a deepest core issue that you might have. Okay. And so you just go through here and we're going to try and identify like the core issue is what. And then number 6, we're going to pause a little bit and I just want you to write whatever you found. What did you find by going through that process? Okay. And then part 3. So we've, identified where things were. We've really identified. And now we're going to look to eliminate and rewire. So in this exercise, there's a couple rules. Be open-minded, work to find new perspectives, and don't take this too seriously or go into self-critical mode. All right. But look at that list just up above and then go through these questions and asking yourself, is it true? If you answer no, you can go right to number 3. How do you react? What happens when you believe that the thought is true? And then who would you be without that thought? Okay, so is it true? If you say, yes, it's true. Can you be absolutely sure that it's true? How do you react? What happens when you believe that that thought is true? So getting really present to that, like what happens as a result of that belief or that thought? And then who would you be if that thought wasn't there? What would open up for you? What would be possible? What could be in its place? And so for each of those limiting beliefs up above, you can put it here and you can go through that process with each of these, with each of your core 5. Okay, identifying them, debating them, having a conversation with them, seeing if they're really true. Like the way that you eliminate a belief is you got to knock out its legs. If it's not true, then why do you believe it? Right? So finding ways for you to not believe your own beliefs is what this is really doing here. And this is how we start to create some space within our beliefs. And then lastly, we're going to create a new choice for each limiting belief that you have distinguished. Right? So I am stupid becomes I'm a wise and intelligent soul, as an example. Right? So what is your new choice, your new belief for each of those 5 that you identified? And then last step is you're going to create Authentic Image Maker was what this is. It's like we need to plant these new ideas, these new beliefs, these new choices into the subconscious mind. And we do that with declarations or affirmations. And this is the spaced repetition. And this is from T. Harv Eker, I believe. And this is where you're just going to write out a list of 50 to 100 new declarations. I am powerful. I am smart. I love talking to people. That will help you to embed these into the subconscious mind. Okay, so this is the exercise of how to shift beliefs, where we identify our limiting beliefs, we eliminate the negative ones, and we replace them with new choices and affirmations. All right, so that's it for this video. Take your time with this, dig in, get in there, and I'll see you in the next video.